And I promised myself I wouldn't cry.
No.
But it's hard not to.
It's hard not to.
I mean, you really couldn't imagine the horror. It's just so crazy to imagine.
Ryan Reynolds is officially drowning in public shame after Scarlett Johansson exposed his manipulative and disturbing behavior from their past.
I didn't expect that.
She stayed quiet for years, but apparently Ryan's behind-the-scenes sabotage pushed her to the edge. And now she's torching the Deadpool clown act for good. My ego is too fragile. This time it's hitting hard because Scarlett Johansson never made a scene after her divorce from Ryan Reynolds. Not when tabloids ran wild with speculation, not when SNL sketches mocked their split, and not when Blake Lively took over the Hollywood spotlight beside him.
Ego is too fragile.
She moved on, kept her career clean, and stayed completely silent. But now, just days before her directorial debut, Eleanor the Great is set to premiere at Cannes on May 20th, 2025, Scarlett has finally broken her silence. And it's not what Ryan expected. In a Vanity Fair interview, when Justin Baldoni's name came up, Scarlett let out a loud laugh and called the situation weird timing.
I have so much.
Probably smart though.
My brain is too fragile. I'm like a delicate flower. I
like the self-awareness.
I have enough anxiety.
You know what my tip is? Don't read the comments.
That would give me so much anxiety.
She didn't throw shade or point fingers, but she made it clear that Baldoni's Wayfair Studios was supportive throughout her film's production. The very same Baldoni who is now locked in a $400 million defamation lawsuit with Ryan Reynolds, Blake Lively, and the New York Times. The timing wasn't just weird, it was radioactive. Scarlett didn't say much, but what she did say was enough to send Ryan's PR team into chaos.
She says this is weird. I think it's delicious.
What people don't know is that the moment the interview hit the internet, Scarlett began receiving disturbing phone calls. According to sources in her camp, these weren't just media inquiries. They were anonymous late-night calls filled with veiled threats and subtle reminders that her career could be derailed. Her team suspected they came from people orbiting Reynolds and Lively's PR world, people who had everything to lose if Scarlett decided to go off script.
I love that Vanity Fair asked her about it, and B, I love that she responded.
But Scarlett didn't flinch. She told her reps she was done letting others shape her narrative. These weren't just harmless calls. Her publicist confirmed that Scarlett was being warned she could be subpoenaed in the Baldoni case. Hollywood insiders were already whispering that Eleanor the Great might be blacklisted from future festivals if she didn't publicly distance herself from Baldoni. Scarlett refused.
I can't do this. I'm too fragile.
I
have
actually
so much
appreciate
anxiety
that.
about other things. I can't.
They allegedly made quiet moves behind the scenes to label Scarlett's film too risky for award circuits. One insider from a Cannes committee revealed that Blake's reps even made informal complaints, warning them about platforming a film co-produced by a man under legal scrutiny. The hypocrisy was impossible to ignore. Blake was out promoting A Simple Favor, the same film she allegedly tried to shut down production on when things went sour with Baldoni. And yet, she had the nerve to call out others for working with him.
The Cannes Film Festival just kicked off, and Scarlett Johansson is there with her directorial fudge. Derek fudge.
The pressure didn't stop there. Internal emails between PR execs, now leaked by a disgruntled assistant, revealed discussions about creating narrative diversions in the media to prevent Scarlett from gaining sympathy. There were even references to releasing old relationship baggage if she didn't comply. That baggage? Ryan Reynolds.
Tell me what we're doing. And we also make terrible videos.
Scarlett Johansson's team stayed silent for 48 hours after the fallout, but during that time, a decisive plan was made. No damage control, no staged unity posts, no forced joint statements. Scarlett would let actions speak, not words. She promoted Eleanor the Great without censoring her connection to Justin Baldoni, praising him for supporting her film when no one else would. She made it clear she wasn't endorsing his legal case, but she also wasn't abandoning him. Meanwhile, Ryan Reynolds reportedly had a complete meltdown. Insiders from the Deadpool 3 set said he stormed off during filming after someone joked that Scarlett's movie might generate more Oscar buzz than his. Until then, his name had never been directly tied to her project. Suddenly, media outlets began linking Scarlett's comeback and its buzz to him, shattering years of carefully curated public image as a beloved husband, father, and comedian. The narrative collapse caught him completely off guard. What made it worse was Scarlett's quiet confidence. She didn't accuse him of anything directly, but she refused to defend him. Privately, she told her publicist, "I was manipulated once. It's not happening again." That single sentence found its way to select reporters and instantly began to crack the perfect Reynolds-Lively image. Blake Lively, according to insiders, was furious behind the scenes, not just because of Scarlett's resurgence, but because the media focus was shifting. Instead of highlighting her own survivor narrative in the Baldoni feud, the conversation turned to how she and Ryan might have pressured others into silence over the years. Suddenly, Scarlett wasn't just a director promoting a film. She was an inconvenient truth they couldn't control. The last time Scarlett faced a media storm this close was during her divorce, when she chose dignity over drama. Now, she was choosing clarity over silence. With legal strategist Lisa Bloom warning that Scarlett could be called to testify in the Baldoni case, the stakes were higher than ever. If the film flopped, Baldoni could blame Blake's influence. If it succeeded, his legal arguments would weaken. Either way, Scarlett was at the center of it all. Scarlett Johansson and Ryan Reynolds married in September 2008, Hollywood's golden couple on paper, successful, adored, and constantly in the spotlight. But behind the red carpets and glowing headlines, sources say the relationship dynamic was far from equal. By 2010, just 2 years into their marriage, cracks were evident. When they announced their divorce in December 2010, both issued vague, amicable statements. But insiders now reveal that the truth was buried beneath years of subtle emotional control. In a 2023 episode of the Goop podcast, Gwyneth Paltrow casually brought up Ryan, prompting Scarlett to call him a good guy, a quote quickly recycled across celebrity blogs as proof the relationship ended peacefully. Yet a Vanity Fair contributing editor who interviewed Scarlett off the record in April 2025 revealed a very different story. The picture presented to the public had been carefully curated to mask the tension and manipulation behind the scenes. Scarlett's current actions, her refusal to be silenced, her unapologetic promotion of Eleanor the Great, and her open acknowledgement of Baldoni's support, highlight a deliberate reclaiming of her narrative. After years of being constrained by public expectations, she is asserting her agency, balancing artistic integrity with personal truth, and demonstrating that while Hollywood may attempt to control stories, determined individuals can still redefine their legacy. In this tense intersection of career, personal history, and legal complications, Scarlett stands as a figure who refuses to be sidelined, quietly reshaping the narrative on her own terms, one decision at a time. According to insiders, Scarlett Johansson never denied that Ryan Reynolds presented well in public, but she confided that he was emotionally condescending and power-obsessed. A longtime assistant who worked with her between 2009 and 2012 described Scarlett as visibly dimmed during that period. Coming off Oscar-nominated performances in Match Point and Vicky Cristina Barcelona, she began turning down high-profile roles. One notable example was a rejected lead in Black Swan, a part that eventually went to Natalie Portman. Officially, the reason cited was scheduling conflicts, but emails revealed in a 2021 studio hack suggested otherwise. Scarlett was pressured to deprioritize filming in Q1 due to spousal issues. The timing coincided with Ryan's career acceleration. In 2010, he was cast as Green Lantern and began angling for bigger Marvel recognition, which eventually led to his role as Deadpool. Multiple sources confirmed he was fixated on securing a franchise, something Scarlett already had through her role as Natasha Romanoff in the MCU. A Marvel casting director anonymously told The Ankler in 2022 that Ryan couldn't stand the idea of her being ahead of him. The final straw reportedly came when Scarlett accepted a lead in a 2011 indie project, Under the Skin, a film Ryan allegedly believed was too art-house and could damage their public image. He supposedly told her team the film's subject matter, alien seduction and identity crisis, was off-brand for the wife of a superhero. Scarlett refused to step back. Just weeks later, their divorce was announced on December 14, 2010. By mid-2011, she had relocated to New York, severed ties with several mutual Hollywood contacts, and began rebuilding her professional circle independently. Despite the clean press narrative at the time, those close to her say she described the marriage as a 3-year PR campaign, where she was cast as supportive wife number 1. Ryan, meanwhile, remarried quickly, tying the knot with Blake Lively in 2012 and leaning heavily into his wholesome, snarky dad image. Scarlett remained silent, until now that on February 10, 2025, Saturday Night Live aired a sketch that immediately had the internet dissecting every frame. Written by head writer and Weekend Update co-anchor Colin Jost, the skit was titled Crisis Control. It featured a smug, overconfident superhero played by guest host Pedro Pascal, wearing a red leather suit with a gold maple leaf emblem, a subtle nod to Reynolds' Canadian roots. The superhero's nemesis wasn't a villain, it was his own wife, a struggling actress played by Cecily Strong, who kept being manipulated into leaving roles to protect his public image. The twist? Every time she tried to assert herself, the superhero character delivered faux-empowering lines like, "Go be brilliant, babe. Just not today. My brand's trending." The audience laughed, but Twitter exploded. Reddit threads under SNL Live from New York and RR for Celebs amassed over 9,000 comments within 48 hours, with headlines like SNL just eviscerated Ryan Reynolds without saying his name. The sketch's monologue didn't help either. Josh joked, "Some people say marriage is about compromise. Others say it's about making sure your spouse doesn't take your screen time." Fans familiar with the Reynolds-Johansson history didn't need subtitles. The reference was unmistakable. Scarlett didn't comment publicly, but a former PR strategist for Johansson leaked a conversation held days after the episode aired. According to the source, Scarlett allegedly told her team, "Ryan is a joke who thinks he's untouchable, but the truth is, he's been manipulating the story for years." The statement highlighted a long-standing frustration with the power dynamics in their marriage, and insiders say it marked the first time she openly articulated what had been an unspoken tension for over a decade. By asserting her narrative through careful actions and selective comments, Scarlett signaled that she would no longer be sidelined, quietly reclaiming her autonomy and reshaping public perception on her own terms. The quote, "legacy, but he's just a brand with abs," was never officially confirmed, but it quickly began circulating among entertainment journalists and was indirectly cited in a Vulture piece published on March 2, 2025. The reason this skit landed so hard wasn't just its content, it was the context. Colin Jost, Scarlett Johansson's husband since 2020, had never publicly addressed her past marriage. Yet in this calculated move, he used the platform he knew best to flip the narrative. According to backstage staff at 30 Rock, the sketch had been in the works for months, timed carefully to coincide with the right guest host and maximum impact. When Ryan Reynolds' team was approached for comment by Entertainment Tonight, they declined. However, a source close to Reynolds claimed he was furious and saw the segment as a national TV ambush. One entertainment lawyer even speculated that Reynolds considered filing a character defamation complaint with NBC under parody grounds, but ultimately dropped the idea after recognizing that public opinion was not in his favor. Justin Baldoni isn't attending Cannes this year. Officially, it's to avoid distraction amid ongoing litigation, but industry insiders claim the real reason is that he has become professionally radioactive. Ever since Blake Lively filed a sexual harassment claim against him and Wayfair Studios CEO Jamie Heath, followed by a coordinated smear narrative just days before the It Ends With Us marketing push, Baldoni has lost 3 projects, 2 brand endorsements, and all agency representation. His $400 million defamation countersuit, filed on April 29, 2025, targets Lively, Ryan Reynolds, and the New York Times for reputational damages. In the center of this public firestorm stands Scarlett Johansson, and she is refusing to back down. In her May 2025 Vanity Fair interview, Scarlett acknowledged that Baldoni and his company, Wayfair Studios, were the only ones who stood by her during the early development of Eleanor the Great. While most other studios dropped out, citing market risk, specifically a lack of international appetite for female-led dramas and concerns that aging protagonists don't sell. Baldoni pressed forward. Internal financing memos, leaked by a former Wayfair employee, reveal that Scarlett's debut was produced on a $7 million independent budget, with 70% personally underwritten by Baldoni through private equity. Scarlett didn't shy away from the controversy. She explained that Baldoni believed in a story led by a 95-year-old woman, referencing June Squibb's starring role, and she emphasized, he deserves credit, not cancellation. At a closed-door roundtable on May 10, 2025, Scarlett reportedly defended Baldoni when asked if she regretted accepting funding from his studio. Filmmaker Ava DuVernay, who attended, said Scarlett replied, "I don't punish people who help me tell the truth. The media can decide who gets the last word, but I know who showed up." Despite Wayfair Studios being dropped by CAA, WME, and UTA since March 2025, Scarlett kept their logo in press kits. When a team member suggested omitting it for PR safety, she responded via a leaked Slack message, "I'm not ashamed of the people who believed in me." Eleanor the Great was submitted to the Cannes Selection Committee on February 9, 2025, before the lawsuit exploded. Even after the scandal, Scarlett refused to backpedal. At a pre-screening hosted by the American Cinematic Society, she reiterated that the movie's journey was built on trust, a principle that doesn't vanish simply because it's inconvenient. Her words carry weight in Hollywood, where distancing oneself at the first whiff of scandal is common. For Scarlett, who directed, co-produced, and co-wrote the film, this project is more than a movie. It is a statement about telling stories that no one else would greenlight. Baldoni, despite his legal entanglements, was the one who made it possible when no other studios would return her calls. Scarlett has avoided directly naming names, but the implication is clear. Blake Lively is pulling strings. During a promotional stop in Paris on May 12th, Johansson was asked if media backlash was affecting the film's press tour. She replied, "Some people are louder off camera than they are on." That quote went viral within an hour, with hashtags like #SnakeLively and #JusticeForScarlett trending in over 30 countries by sunset. The term Snake Lively did not originate with fans. It first appeared in a leaked 87-second voice memo from Scarlett's marketing team, shared anonymously with TMZ on May 7th. One staffer remarked, "Blake is prettier than she is honest. She'll smile at you and stab your art behind your back." Classic Snake Lively. The phrase spread rapidly, and within days, parody merchandise began appearing online. Tote bags, mugs, even t-shirts worn by extras during con setup. The nickname gained weight because of Blake's alleged interference with con organizers. According to a report by Liye published on May 11th, her French PR agency privately warned key committee members about Scarlett's project, aiming to create doubt about the film's selection. Despite these pressures, Scarlett continued to publicly credit Baldoni and Wayfair Studios for their support, emphasizing that she would not let external forces dictate her narrative or erase the contributions of those who believed in her. Honoring Eleanor the Great has become a flashpoint in Hollywood, as some insiders suggest that supporting the film could be interpreted as endorsing abuse due to its financial backing by Wayfair Studios. The festival organizers have refused to confirm this publicly, but two internal emails leaked to Durbridge reference a non-participant pressure campaign cautioning against including the film. Meanwhile, Blake Lively continues her global press tour for another simple favor, giving interviews, posing for magazine covers, and discussing emotional trauma on set without ever mentioning Scarlett Johansson or Can by name. Yet the timing is impossible to ignore. On April 24th, the same day Eleanor the Great's selection was announced, Blake's team launched a social media campaign highlighting survivor advocacy. The Hypocrisy did not go unnoticed. Blake was promoting a dark comedy sequel in which she plays a morally dubious manipulator while allegedly attempting to undermine a drama led by a 95-year-old actress. Even her public goodwill came under scrutiny. According to an April 2025 poll conducted by YouGov, Blake's favorability among women aged 18 to 34 dropped from 74% to 46% within 10 days of the leaked memo concerning Scarlett. Scarlett's only response came on May 13th during an interview with Telema when she was asked whether her selection might be politicized by the lawsuit. She replied, "When the stage isn't yours, it's easier to yell from the audience." The remark wasn't just a critique, it was a direct accusation. Scarlett is on the stage. Blake is throwing tomatoes from the crowd. As the story unfolded, the media narrative began to shift. What was once framed as a straightforward tale of victim versus villain evolved into a complex power struggle between two actresses, one quietly loyal to her creative team, the other publicly loyal to her brand. On May 12, 2025, celebrity attorney Lisa Bloom told DailyMail.com that Scarlett Johansson may be subpoenaed in the upcoming $400 million defamation case between Justin Baldoni and the trio of Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds, and the New York Times. According to Bloom, Scarlett is no longer a bystander. She is now a legal chess piece. Her film, Eleanor the Great, co-financed by Baldoni's Wayfair Studios, could become a key exhibit in court. The legal stakes are clear and ruthless. If Eleanor the Great underperforms commercially or critically, Baldoni's team could argue that Blake's public harassment allegations, coupled with his industry blacklisting, irreparably damaged his brand, directly affecting his ability to launch and monetize creative projects. Conversely, if Scarlett's film succeeds, the court might interpret it as evidence that Baldoni's career was not harmed by Blake's claims. The movie transforms from art into leverage, its success or failure scrutinized not for creative merit, but for legal consequence. Scarlett's response was deliberate and immediate. Through her representative on May 13th, she issued a concise statement. "My truth isn't for sale, and my film's success belongs to the artists, not the courtroom." The remark was picked up by The Hollywood Reporter, Deadline, and Variety within the hour. Her publicist declined to comment further, but insiders revealed Johansson is preparing for a proactive legal strategy. Leaks indicate she has assembled a private team of litigators independent from her studio's in-house counsel. Among them is Leanne Grant, a former ACLU trial attorney renowned for her unwavering stance on artist rights. The move is both precautionary and preemptive. Rumors suggest Reynolds' legal team has already requested informal depositions from Eleanor's crew, seeking to quietly gather statements about Baldoni's on-set conduct. Scarlett's preparation signals that she intends to assert control over her narrative and protect the film's legacy, even as the courtroom looms. Her actions underline a determination to separate artistic achievement from legal maneuvering, refusing to let external pressures compromise her creative voice or the integrity of the production.